Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our fourth and final day of the Age of Central Texas Caregiver Training Camp. My name is Rob Fabian, and I am the Director of Marketing and Communications for Age of Central Texas. We are a regional nonprofit organization that serves older adults and caregivers just like yourself. We are so glad that you're joining us this afternoon. We're going to be wrapping up with our fourth session for the Caregiver Training Camp. For the past 3 days, we have been talking about a lot of the essentials that you need to know as a caregiver. If you didn't have a chance to view any of those videos, they are all living on our Age of Central Texas YouTube channel, and you can go there and find all of those 3 videos. There's some tremendous information that we provided this week. And today we're just going to pull it all together with our Caregiver Playbook. We have put together an actual physical playbook of information that will help you. We sent that as a PDF to you for those who registered. For those who are viewing this video after the fact, it is linked down here below in the information section. You can click on it and it'll give you a PDF of all of that information. Before we get started this morning, I have a video that we need to show you. We're very thankful for all of the sponsors that have helped us out to bring you this wonderful set of sessions here this year. And we have a video that we want to share you from our friends at CapTel by T-Mobile.
I lost my hearing fairly suddenly.
I began losing my hearing when I was about 35 years old. Having trouble on the phone probably started about 15 years ago.
I dreaded for the phone to ring.
It was very hard for me to understand sometimes.
Most of the time, it would be, huh? I'm sorry, what was that?
I would get little bits here and there of conversation, but I just didn't feel confident that I was fully understanding what I was trying to hear on the phone.
The telephone was just a useless tool.
The phone, I've not had a very good relationship.
And it got to the point where my children got frustrated with me on the phone and would not communicate.
It finally just became impossible.
I knew something had to change.
When I got my CapTel, it just changed my world completely.
Everyone was amazed. I was amazed.
It was a miracle to me.
With the CapTel, I don't have that hesitation.
I just love knowing that I have something there and that I don't have to be scared or anxious, and it allows me to be independent.
And now I can understand them because I can see it as I'm talking on the phone. I'm like, oh, okay, I got it now.
To hear their voice, to know I'm not missing anything, to realize that, now I'm not just, seeing a few words here and there, I'm filling in the gaps.
The first time I tried the CapTel phone, I called my mother and I could hear her voice.
She realized that I wasn't saying, huh? Or hang on, slow down, wait a minute.
And he was, this is correct? Yeah, it is. And we talked for about an hour, and he was just amazed that I could actually hear him.
And she said, what happened? And I said, CapTel.
If I'm to talk on the telephone, it's CapTel. I guess I've had it long enough now, it just seems to be part of me.
It's my lifeline. It's my connection to the world. It's the only time my life phone rings. I say, I get it.
Y'all have changed my world. You just don't know. You really have.
In my book, it's perfect.
And we want to thank CapTel by T-Mobile for being our sponsor of today's session and of the Caregiver Playbook. The CapTel is just one more resource that you have available here in Central Texas. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is the resources that are available for you, that you have available to help you as a caregiver in your journey. Before we get started, I want to go over some very quick housekeeping for you. Number one, we talked about the recordings. We're recording this session as well. And so if for any reason you need to leave today before we're finished, or something happens on your end and you leave us, don't worry, we're recording this. It will be posted by Monday on the YouTube channel for Age of Central Texas. And we are going to send you a link that has all of the videos from this week so that you'll be able to go back and reference those. We're also going to resend to you all of the PDFs of the materials that were a part of these 4 days of presentations. All of those links are also available for each of the videos, and they're linked down below in the comments area. So if you're joining us after the fact, you can still be able to get to the program, the caregiver resources, and the caregiver playbook that we're going to be presenting today. Speaking of the program, we hope that you take a look at that, please. Not only does it have a lot of great information from all of our sponsors, because they are all providing wonderful resources for you here in the Central Texas area, we also have information on all of our speakers and some other additional information that can be helpful for you as a caregiver. We also sent you the caregiver resources as a PDF, lots of wonderful information there, and Natalie's going to talk about a lot of that today as well. And also at the end of these sessions, we're going to send you not only the recap with all those links, we're also going to send you a survey. And we ask that you please take just a couple of minutes and complete that survey. It's electronic, it's very simple. What we basically are asking from you is, how did we do? We need to know if we missed anything that you need as a caregiver, because as we are preparing for these upcoming sessions for the rest of the year, we want to know, what are the sessions that you need as a caregiver that can help you out? What are some of those topics that we need to cover, that we need to find speakers that can talk to where you are in your caregiving journey? Because remember, this is for you. This is for you as a caregiver. We want to make sure that we are answering all of your questions and providing you with all of the resources that you need. Finally, there is a chat feature right down here at the bottom of your screen. Looks like one of those thought bubbles from the comic strips. We want you to click on that, and during today's presentation, type in your questions. Ask those questions, because this is your opportunity for us to answer all of those burning questions you have as a caregiver. So take this opportunity to ask those questions. We're going to answer as many of them as we possibly can, but we are on a little bit of a time restriction. We said we were going to go for an hour and a half, and we are going to stick to that. So if for some reason we happen to run out of time before we get to every question, don't worry, we're still going to answer your question. We're going to send you a direct email and answer that question to you personally. So take this opportunity, ask those questions. I am very thrilled to have with us one of my peers. It is Natalie Alcorta. She is the program director for AGE's Caregiver Resource Center and our Information and Resource Center. And Natalie is a social worker by trade. She graduated from Texas State University, as I did as well, a long time ago before she did. But she is just a wealth of information for all of the resources that we have available here in Central Texas. So Natalie's going to go through all of the great things that are available to you as a caregiver, and then we're going to talk about the Caregiver Playbook. So Natalie, I am going to turn it over to you and let you take us through all this great info.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Natalie. Again, I am the Caregiver Support Manager with Age of Central Texas. I manage the Information and Resource Center. I also have the privilege of supervising the Health Equipment Lending Program. I too am a caregiver and can relate to many of your stories and your situations. I will go ahead and get started, so I want to be mindful of your time. Let me go ahead and share my screen. There. Okay, Rob, how does that look?
That is perfect.
Perfect, wonderful. Okay, So before I dive into the playbook, I want to talk a little bit about our programs that we offer here at Age of Central Texas. I will start with our Thrive Social and Wellness Center. We have two. We have one located in Austin, and we have one located in Round Rock. This particular program offers daytime care for individuals who are living with cognitive and or physical challenges. It's a safe place for your person to go to during the day. As many of us do, we work and need assistance during the daytime or just need a break. So our Thrive Social and Wellness Centers are a wonderful program to look into. Our members will receive meals and snacks. They will also be engaged with activities and also some physical movement through chair yoga and Zumba. And also, more importantly, they are able to socialize with other people. And this particular program does have a cost. We have, it's a flat rate of $70 per day. We have people who attend all 5 days because our program does operate Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And then we have other members who attend just 2 or 3 days out of the week because that's what works for them and that's what works for their caregiver. So if you want to learn more about our intake process and just more about this particular program, I encourage you to contact AGE and we will direct you to the program director associated with the Austin and Round Rock locations. I also want to just let everyone know that we are accepting new members at this time. Our staff is incredible and we are taking every precaution needed to make sure that everyone remains safe during COVID times. But I just wanted to let everyone know that we are accepting new members at this time. We were not accepting new members for quite a long time and we're actually closed for a little while there, but we are accepting new members. I am going to skip over our Information and Resource Center for right now and then come back to that after we get through the rest of the programs. And I want to take a little time to talk about our Health Equipment Lending Program. This was, all of our programs were really mentioned at some point through this week during every presentation. But the Health Equipment Lending Program is where any individual of any age can access durable medical equipment, which is, for example, a walker, both a standard walker or a rollator walker. And a rollator walker is the walker with the 4 wheels and a seat. We also have transport chairs and shower chairs and benches. So, you know, like I said, anyone of any age can have access to this program. We also provide incontinence products. We are able to provide an individual with 2 packages of adult pull-up underwear, bed pads, wipes at no cost. All of this is at no cost to you. When it comes to the incontinence products, an individual can access that particular supply once a month. So right now, if you are interested in receiving any of that type of equipment, I encourage you to call our Health Equipment Lending Program and schedule an appointment. We are running by appointments only just to keep everyone safe. And we have a contactless transaction set up so that everyone, again, remains safe. I am actually going to hand it over to Rob right now to talk a little bit about virtual connections and the rest of the programs.
Sure, thank you. I also just wanted to point out about our Thrive Social and Wellness Centers. They are the only licensed adult day centers here in Central Texas. We are licensed with the state, And so they are the only licensed centers here in Central Texas. We designed them like a social club. So for our members who come, they are going to their social club every day, but it is also a medical model. And so we have a full-time nurse at both of our centers. So for our members, they get a full day of activities and they have a great time. But for the caregivers, they know there is someone looking over our shoulder. The state's looking over our shoulder. Since we are licensed with Medicaid and with veterans benefits and can accept both of those as payment, we've got those folks looking over our shoulder as well. So it's a really wonderful opportunity. If you have a loved one that could benefit from it, for you as the caregiver, it gives you a great break during the day. Now, our in-person programming includes Memory Connections and our Caregiver U classes and our Age Computer Lab. Memory Connections is a very unique program that we created that is for folks who are in the early stages of their memory loss. So the doctor has given the diagnosis of, yes, this is something more than just normal age-related memory loss. There is the early onset now of dementia, something is happening. For our members who are part of Memory Connections, they get to gather once a week at one of 5 locations around the Central Texas area, whichever one is closest for them, for a facilitated group day. And we do great activities. We call it our Mind, Body, Soul program. We're working on our mind. We're going to use it or lose it. Same with our bodies to keep ourselves physically active, because doing both of those things will help slow the progression of the memory loss. But where the soul comes in is that every person in that group has the same diagnosis. They have the same issues going. So it's a very safe and secure place to unpack that as an individual, to talk about it, to be with other peers and say, I really hate this. And everybody else goes, yep, me too, I got your back. So it's a wonderful program. Obviously, when COVID started, we had to close all those in-person programs. So we pivoted to providing them as virtual programs. And from the lessons that we have learned in providing the virtual programming, we have created a program called Virtual Connections so that we can provide that same weekly, in-person, individualized, wonderful group type sessions for all of our members, but be able to do it safely where they can just join us online. Now, once we are able to reopen our program sites and be in person again, we're going to keep the Virtual Connections program going, because there are people that we know that aren't able to drive in to join a group or might be outside of our service area. And so that is a new program that will be continuing. So that is a wonderful opportunity if you have a loved one who is dealing with memory loss, that they can participate and continue to participate in this wonderful program. Our Caregiver U classes were created to provide caregivers with training. So we have 3 different curriculum that we utilize. They are industry well-known. They have been test-driven for years. They're evidence-based. We have 2 of them that are for caregiving and 1 that is for falls prevention. They again were designed for in-person programming, and so we again needed to pivot with COVID, and so we created 3 brand new sets of curriculum. Again, 2 for caregiving and 1 for falls prevention. So currently we are offering the online versions, and they are available, of course, to anyone, anywhere. And we are starting to slowly, once again, provide the in-person ones as our partner sites are starting to slowly reopen and allow for in-person. So those are tremendous opportunities. In the caregiver resources that you were sent, there are flyers about both the in-person and for the virtual programming. You can see on this particular slide, we have a website specifically for Caregiver U. It's Caregiver U, CEN, like Central Texas abbreviated, the TX for Texas.org. And we are constantly updating the class list because we are always adding new classes and new locations. And then one class finishes, we start up another one. So year round, we have these classes available. And if you're not here in the Central Texas area, you can still participate in these free classes. They are absolutely free to you as a caregiver. You just keep an eye on the class list, and as we're offering the new ones virtually, sign up for them, because these are tremendously effective classes to help you in your caregiving journey. I have had caregivers tell me personally, this changed my life in the way that I was able to care for my loved one. So be sure that you take advantage of these because they are absolutely free. They are amazing curriculum that were created by experts in the field. And so it's a wonderful resource for you. And then finally, we have an Age Computer Lab that was started 15 years ago when IBM donated computers to senior centers all around the United States for a program called SeniorNet. And the idea was to help seniors learn how to use computers to help break down their isolation. And all of our programming is based around that, of breaking down isolation, both for the individual older adult and for the caregiver. We know that caregiving can be very isolating. And so we want to make sure that we help you in that journey to make you understand you are never, ever alone in this journey. But back to the Age Computer Lab, it was a tremendous idea 15 years ago, but a lot of those centers didn't have an IT person. So most of the computers were loaded with Windows 4, literally. And so when that became obsolete, so did the computers. Luckily, though, here at Age of Central Texas, our program was immediately adopted by retirees from the tech field. And they have continued that program now going into its 16th year of providing technology classes taught peer-to-peer. It's seniors teaching technology to seniors. It is an amazing physical computer lab that we have, but once again, COVID has closed it because we can't gather in such tight quarters until all of us are vaccinated again. So currently we're offering the classes virtually. Right now what is happening is we have computer clubs, and so things like genealogy and photography and those types of clubs are the ones that are operating virtually. We're going to be adding more one-time classes that will be virtual and getting ready to reopen the computer lab probably here in just a few months. We're very hopeful as the numbers keep going down in Central Texas and we get closer to that stage 1 where we can reopen again safely. So they also have their own unique website that is agecomputer.org, where they update the classes each month. And of course, all of our programs are on our Age of Central Texas website and links to these individual websites as well. You can always just go to our singular website and find all of the resources there. And in a little bit later in the presentation, we're actually going to show you the Age website and show you where all these resources are located. So Natalie, back to you.
Thank you. So I skipped over the Information and Resource Center because that is my program, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about that more. So let's see. So the Information and Resource Center, we offer 8 educational seminars. And so those seminars are usually held on a Saturday morning. Right now we're holding them virtually through Zoom. We were once meeting in person, so some of you might be familiar with those. But as of right now, we are meeting virtually. We have one coming up actually in April that will discuss hospice and what hospice is and how it can be supportive and beneficial to both the caregiver and the individual who is in need of that service. We also cover other topics such as Medicare, because everyone knows that's confusing and it changes every year. So we have a topic of Medicare. We also talk about legal services and resources. We had one and hopefully we'll have another one coming up soon, is just how to discharge from a skilled nursing facility and or hospital. What kind of support and prep comes from that? So that's just an example of many topics that we offer through our educational seminars. And then we have conferences, such as this one that you're attending right now. We also have a Pflugerville Seniors Conference that's coming up in May, followed by a Striking a Balance conference for caregivers in August. And then we have a Williamson County Caregivers Conference in September. So we have wonderful conferences for you to attend. All of the educational seminars and all of the conferences are at no cost to you. That is because we have wonderful sponsors throughout our community that provide that financial sponsorship so that we can do this and provide all of this information to you at no cost. The Information and Resource Center also offers one-on-one consultations. You can be really anywhere in your journey and call us about any really particular situation or resource, and we will work with, getting you the right information and just assist you with that type of information and resource navigation. These one-on-one consultations can be scheduled through by just sending an email, giving us a phone call. I do ask that you give us a little time, or just some patience. We do have a lot of calls coming in currently, and we are, I promise you, working through all of them. We also, I just also wanted to mention that what I do not do is provide counseling or case management. Again, the one-on-one consultations are a wonderful conversation to have to help just help you understand what resources are out there, maybe some things to think about with the current situation you're facing. And then also, it takes the research of, Googling and calling a bunch of different places to, just off of your plate, which is overwhelming and a daunting task at times, especially when you're already feeling super overwhelmed. So again, we do the resource and information navigation, and that's usually provided to you by over the phone or in an email with just lots of different types of information that you're calling about. Okay, so let's talk about the Caregiver Playbook. And last year we all met, well, this particular conference was in person, so everyone had the playbook in front of them. And I hope that you've received that link and were able to open it. Everyone should have received the playbook electronically. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give an overview of what to find in the playbook, what it's all about, and then I will let you go through it when you have time and read through it. Find where you're at in your caregiving journey. So the overview of the playbook, it covers 6 stages of caregiving. As you know, a lot of changes happen throughout the cycle of caregiving. So we do our best to identify the different stages that one will fall into. What we will also talk about, or what we talk about in the playbook, are the domains of caregiving tasks. Each task for each stage of caregiving, and then each stage will have a brief list of resources to just get you started. And I just want to remind everyone that the resources that are listed in the playbook are listed to get you started. They are not all of the resources available in our area. So they're just some really helpful, here's where to start resources. So again, I mentioned, caregiving changes over time as you move through different stages. Some of us have been thrown into a caregiving role, while others are preparing to become caregivers. You might start to see some things that are concerning about someone that you are caring for, or just part of someone's life. So there are different stages, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think it's important to also just show this example of this cycle, and just to keep this in mind as you navigate the playbook. that the caregiver's needs and goals will need to be reassessed throughout this journey. Understanding the disease progression and your role in that individual's care, and also the person's needs and goals. And this cycle will continue to go through the different stages. And so here are the stages that you'll find in the playbook. In stage 1, we have is the expectant caregiver. This is the individual who is starting to feel concerned about a person's needs. Maybe you're noticing that they need a little bit more of assistance in some areas. This individual might still be very independent. So you can find, more information on what that expectant caregiver looks like. Stage 2 is what we call the freshman caregiver. This is when you start to actually help the care recipient, as how I will refer to them. This is when you will start, actually helping them with day-to-day tasks. We also have in stage 3, the entrenched caregiver. And this is you're doing everything for this individual daily. And it's a lot harder at this moment to leave them because you are their lifeline and their support. At stage 4, we talk about the pragmatic caregiver. And this is when usually you start bringing someone else in to help, whether that be an outside agency or you are now reaching out to friends or a support system to just take some of the weight off of your shoulders. And then the next one is the transitioning caregiver. This is when an individual, for example, is transitioning into a community care setting. So maybe they were living with you at one point, and you were the caregiver 24/7, but now they are moving into a community care setting, such as like a memory care setting. You still are a caregiver. Sometimes I hear, my person is not living with me anymore, I'm not their caregiver anymore, but you are still very much part of that care team. It just looks different. They're not physically with you every day, but you have a huge role in their care still. And then a really important stage that we like to talk about too is life after caregiving. Because sometimes people end up quitting their jobs. It's a 24/7 role that they are living as a caregiver, and their life has been put on pause. So it's a stage of caregiving that we like to also address because it's part of the journey. What am I going to do now? How am I going to get back on track with what I was doing before caregiving, and what is my purpose? So there are lots of different questions that come up, and feelings and emotions that surround, life after caregiving that we address in this playbook. Again, this is an overview. I will let you all take the time to go through the actual playbook, and I'll show you the playbook here in a little bit. But find where you fit in, and it's not perfectly cut for every individual. You might be in between stages, or you might backtrack to the freshman stage because you're currently entrenched, and maybe your person is receiving some additional support, and then they become a little less dependent on you. So it's not perfectly cut out for every individual situation. So just keep that in mind. So in the playbook, here are some key symbols to just keep in mind as you go through the material. we have a tree that stands for our Age of Central Texas programs that are best for that particular stage. So we identify those. We also include some websites that are extremely helpful for caregivers. The hand is the Caregiving in Central Texas resource guide, and I will also show you that too here in a little bit. It's an incredible resource. And then we have the little book for any publications and booklets that we've found very helpful for these particular stages. And then within each stage, you're going to have more details in what it goes along with the domains of caregiving, such as maintaining the household, which an example of that is the shopping and laundry, medication management, money management, transportation, meal preparation. And then you have the domain of physical support, which is mobility, with walking and bathing and dressing, grooming, feeding, toileting, getting the individual to and from the toilet, maintaining continence or handling incontinence. And then we have the emotional and social support domain, which is the companionship, discussing, ongoing life challenges with the person, facilitating and participating in leisure activities, managing family conflict, troubleshooting problems, and just helping a person manage their emotional responses. And then we have health and medical care. And some examples of these tasks are nutrition and, again, medication management, symptom management, in monitoring the person's condition. And then we have advocacy and care coordination, which is just navigating the systems of care, both medical and community services that can be provided to an individual. And, serving as the primary communication for your person, being their advocate and their voice. And then we have decision-making and surrogacy, which is part of like advanced directives with your living wills, your out of hospital, do not resuscitate order. I know Lena touched base on that on Wednesday. And then your powers of attorney documents, making sure that that's in order, financial and medical power of attorneys, and wills. So those are some examples of those, decision-making and surrogacy. And then we have the caregiver's self-care, which is, extremely important that you take care of yourself, because it's hard to take care of somebody else if you are not caring for yourself. And so this particular domain will cover coping with emotions related to caregiving, coping with changes in a relationship with the person that you're caring for, emotions related to a historical relationship that you have with your person, your physical and mental health, and planning ahead, identifying your needs and your goals as a caregiver and as an individual. So again, each stage will cover, these particular domains, and you'll have different resources in the resource section to look at. And so here are the sources for this book, this playbook that we created and we put together And then I want to talk a little bit more about just additional Central Texas resources. I think, are very lucky to be located here in Central Texas. We have such wonderful support when it comes to serving older adults and family caregivers. So I have listed here, some great resources to, and you'll receive all of this information too, but the Area Agency on Aging of the Capital Area is a wonderful organization. They have a specific program for caregivers and provide a caregiver support program. They also just have a wealth of knowledge and another program that helps individuals navigate Medicare. And so they are a great go-to agency. The Aging and Disability Resource Center is also incredible. They're the 211 of resources for the aging and disability or disabled. So I encourage you all to connect with them. We also have, Meals on Wheels of Central Texas. Sometimes people think that Meals on Wheels just provides meals, but they have several other wonderful programs such as in-home care. And they have a PALS program that will help older adults with their pets if they are in need of a pet sitter. They also provide some home repair services. So it's not just meals. They have several other programs that are very beneficial. And then you have family elder care that can provide some case management and money management services. They also provide in-home counseling. So I, again, encourage you to reach out to all of these resources, really. I wanted to also include, Drive a Senior. There are 6 branches or service areas here in our Central Texas area. And so transportation is always a big need. So you can also just contact AGE as well, and we can help identify which branch your particular home falls into. So you don't have to go searching for it. I also wanted to include NAMI Central Texas. They are a wonderful organization when it comes to mental health, which is very important. So I encourage you to check them out. Alzheimer's Foundation, they offer just wonderful webinars and resource information. Many of the caregivers that I meet with are signed up with to receive information from Alzheimer's Foundation. We also have the Alzheimer's Association, and their hotline is incredible, and we recommend individuals who are in need of this type of resource to contact them, as well as Alzheimer's Texas. I've provided the hotline information here, and again, you'll receive all of this. Institute on Aging, we've heard wonderful things about their friendship line. And then AARP, they have they just have wonderful resources when it comes to family caregiving. So these are just some of the resources here locally I wanted and nationally that I wanted to just provide to you today to just keep in mind, have it in your caregiver toolbox. And then I also wanted to just mention support groups and the benefits from that. It's a place to vent, but it's also a place to just get feedback from other people, from other caregivers who are in a similar situation. Many conversations come up, and someone might be having some challenges with getting their person to bathe, and another caregiver will suggest, well, this worked for me, and here are some items to keep handy for the week that your individual does not want to bathe. there's so many benefits and connections that come out of support groups. Everyone should have received a list of support groups that are currently being held virtually. We have some general caregiving support groups, and then we have some early memory loss, dementia caregiving groups. And we also just started a new one for adult children who are caring for someone or a parent with dementia. Another really wonderful resource in our area are geriatric care managers. This is somebody who can provide case management. They help a caregiver out and a family out so much with just taking on tasks of calling, establishing services, answering the in-depth questions when it comes to just really the whole package of caregiving. So if you want a list of geriatric care managers, again, you can contact us, and we have a wonderful list that we can share with you. So we also have senior living advisors in our area, and I get a question a lot about from a caregiver who is at the point in their caregiving journey when they are exploring community care settings or a memory care for their person. Where do you begin? There are so many places here in our area. What do they cost? So a senior living advisor, their service is at no cost to you and the family. What they can do is they can provide you with a list of care communities that fit in your price range or are within a 5 to 10 mile radius of your home, or they take that research off of your plate and just help guide you to some places. So there are lots of senior living advisors here in our area. Again, that information can be accessed by calling us. But I wanted to throw that out there because I do get that question a lot, and they can help just navigate the community care settings here in the area. I also encourage you to Google disease-specific organizations. They are, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, just really if you Google, or I can help you too, if you find specific disease organizations, they more than likely and do have lots of great support for families. And then I encourage you to subscribe to dailycaring.com, Age of Central Texas, really any support organizations that you think might be beneficial to your situation. Sign up to receive emails. You'll get updates on, like, for example, Age, like when we start in-person programming for Memory Connections. Is that a program that you're interested in? Sign up and you'll be the first to hear about it. So those are just a few things that I wanted to share with everyone today in terms of just planning or just accessing resources for your current situation. And so this is our Age Information and Resource Center contact information. Again, you will receive all of this information, so don't worry about writing anything down. You'll receive this PowerPoint as well. So, and I am doing consultations by Zoom. So if you want to schedule that, please reach out to me and we can get that going. So thanks. I am actually going to switch screens because I want to show you the Caregiver Playbook. and the Texas, the Caregiving in Central Texas resource guide, which is just an amazing resources to have. So let's see. And can everyone see that? Rob, can you see this?
I can.
Okay, wonderful. So here's the playbook. I just wanted to show everyone in case you don't have it up in front of you. And so as you'll see, you'll see the overview, and then we have the key to all the symbols. And then if you scroll down, you will begin the stages. And we will get down to the first stage so I can just show you all that. So here you go. Here's the beginning of the playbook with the expectant caregiver. We have the different domains related to this particular stage of caregiving. We have information there. Where to start resources. And then we'll go into the next, freshman caregiver. So, and that's all the way through each stage. So that's should have been sent out. It was sent out to everybody, but if you did not receive it or are having any issues with the link, please let me know, and we will make sure that you get that. I also want to show everybody the Caregiving in Central Texas resource guide. And this is such an incredible resource. We actually have booklets at the Age office. So if you want an actual book of this, please let us know and we can arrange a time for you to come pick them up. It was just updated, so it's a 2021 version. And so everything's new and updated and will be like that for several years. So and I will just scroll down to just show you just what is in the book. So important numbers, abuse resources, utilities. You'll have the contents here, and this will just show you a little bit of what's in there. Adult daycare, APS and elder abuse services, advanced care planning, legal services, aging and caregiving, case management, counseling. So as you can see, there are just lots and lots of wonderful resources and information in this particular caregiving guide. And so many partners from all around the area have come together to put this together for you. So please, if you want a book or if you're good with an electronic version, we'll make sure that we get this out to you. Let us know which you prefer, and we will, get you some books that you can actually hold in your hands and make notes on. And then really quick, I wanted to show you, here's our website. And here's where you can find resources about programs and just information about programs. So I just wanted to show you real quick. We're gonna go down to Caregiver U. And this is where you can find upcoming classes. So we'll click here to view the schedule. And you'll be able to see that we have some upcoming classes. We have one that's the Empowering You to be a Smart and Healthy Caregiver in April. And this one just ended today, the Empowering You to Prevent Falls. Rob talked about our Powerful Tools for Caregivers class and our Savvy Caregiver class. These empowering classes are a condensed version of those. So instead of meeting for an hour and a half for 6 weeks, like once a week for 6 weeks, you can also attend one of these condensed classes and they meet for 1 hour, 2 days. There is some material that's not shared because of the shortened amount of time. So we definitely encourage you to really register for which class that you're interested in based on time commitments. And I know everyone's busy. So we have both options. But that's an example of where to find some resources on our page. And so yeah, I just wanted to show everyone that. And I think we're ready for any questions.
Great. I also wanted to, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go back to the AGE website because I wanted to share something in addition where we were showing all these great resources. If you click on the Caregiver Resources page, I want to show, there we go. Mine's just a little bit slower than yours. Scroll down here and we've got these drop-down windows. Right here, the very first one, this is that same caregiver guide that we just talked about. We've got it as a PDF on our website, so you can access that right now. And it is right there on the website, and you can actually download it and save it if you want. So that, again, this is, as Natalie said, this is a fantastic, amazing resource that was put together by the Aging Services Council here in Central Texas, which is a group of all of the nonprofit organizations and the city and county organizations that serve older adults. And it is just a wealth of information right there for you. So be sure and utilize that. Also on the AGE website, on our Caregiver Resources page, we have a lot of resources that we have gathered for you. So there is just a lot there that you can utilize today if you need it. Also, because of COVID, we knew that a lot of folks were going to be having to shelter in place when the disease first hit us, when the pandemic first came to Central Texas. And so a lot of caregivers were like, what in the world am I going to do for 12 hours a day with mom here in the house? And so we created a page of activities that you can share with your older loved one, no matter where they are in their cognitive journey. And you can, that is also linked up at the top of the AGE website. You can click on that. There is everything there from coloring pages you can download and print off. There are tons of websites to go and visit. There are lots of virtual tours. You can go and tour the Louvre Museum in Paris online. You can go tour, you can go ride roller coasters all over the world. You can go to the pyramids in Egypt and take virtual tours. So much is there, hours and hours and hours of activities. So if, as a caregiver, if you're looking for something to do with your loved one, there is so much there that you can go and you can utilize. Also, Natalie, you talked about the Area Agency on Aging. We have a lot of folks who are watching these today, joining us, and who will be watching these videos who are not here in the Central Texas area. And so a lot of the resources that we're talking about are specific to Central Texas, but we wanted to point out that the Area Agency on Aging is nationwide. So every city, major city in the United States has an Area Agency on Aging. The thought is that every square inch of the US is covered by one of the Area Agencies on Aging. And the Area Agency on Aging is the pass-through money of the Older Americans Act. So they are federally funded, as opposed to like Age of Central Texas, which is a homegrown nonprofit where all of our funding for support is coming locally. The Area Agencies on Aging that are all over the US are actually nationally funded. So wherever you are in the US, you can just Google search for Area Agency on Aging and your zip code. Or if you're a long distance caregiver, let's say you're living here in Central Texas, mom is up in Lubbock. You can Google Area Agency on Aging Lubbock, and it'll tell you the one that serves that particular area. You can contact them because they are also a wealth of information on all of the resources that are available from all of the different organizations in that area. So utilize that. That's a great one to utilize.
Yeah.
I also, yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I also wanted to add that the Area Agency on Aging has the benefits counseling program, which assists with Medicare questions and local plans that are local to the area that you're in, and they are the go-to for Medicare questions They are usually the ones that that you'll be referred to anyways. I think that some people just don't put those connections together because many of us just don't know. But that benefits counseling program is at no cost to you. You'll be assigned a benefits counselor, and they will talk to you about Medicare and walk you through that whole process.
And they also can assist with veterans benefits as well.
Yes.
So, and they can help you with your long-term care insurance. If you have that, they can help you with some of the issues with your regular insurance. They are really a wealth of information. And again, they're free. And you've already paid for it. Your taxes pay for it. So take advantage of it. So that is definitely another great resource. And you also talked, Natalie, about AARP. They have a tremendous amount of amazing information on their website. They are kind of the industry leaders when it comes to caregiving for the unpaid family caregiver. They've got a lot of wonderful videos and lots of stuff you can access. And they have a wonderful publication that you can download for free called Prepare to Care. So if you're in the early stages of your caregiving journey, or anywhere in your caregiving journey, really, we recommend this publication that they have created, this booklet, because it is so helpful. We utilize it in a lot of our programs because it is just so amazing. So we really recommend that. And again, if you're someone who is doing long distance caregiving, or you are in another part of the country other than Central Texas, you have your state AARP chapters, and those are all online, and they also have lots of information on what's available directly where you are. So Area Agency on Aging and AARP, two great resources for you no matter where you are in the US that can help you out in your caregiving journey. Let's hop into some of our questions that we've got here. We talked about our Memory Connections program, and we have a question about how do you define memory loss? How does Age of Central Texas define it when it comes to being a member of the Memory Connections program? This person's not sure whether it might be appropriate for their loved one. So how do we define memory loss?
Yeah, so usually the individuals who are then participants in this particular program have received a diagnosis or have been, in communication with their neurologist. There is an intake process for this particular program. Casey Lawrence is the program director of Memory Connections and Virtual Connections. So she will conduct an intake to determine whether or not the program would be a good fit for your person. We want the individual who is participating to feel supported and encouraged throughout their time with the program. So there is an intake process that is done.
Right. The Memory Connections program does require a doctor's diagnosis of memory loss. And so that's basically the defining point there, that a medical professional has said this is something beyond just the normal aging issues. This is actual early memory loss, is a cognitive issue. Now, the virtual connections, though, is different. We don't require that because you know what's going on with your loved one. And so we don't require it for the virtual programming, but for the in-person we do. And it's for the very simple reason that like Natalie said, that everybody who's a member of that has the same thing happening. They all have that diagnosis. And so that way everybody's on the same playing field and everybody feels very comfortable with it because they know this is my safe place, because everybody in this room is going through the same thing that I am. Also, one thing that we didn't mention, though, that both with Memory Connections and with the virtual connections is that we have a component there specifically for the caregiver. And Natalie, why don't you talk about that, because that is your area.
Yeah, so a participant in our Memory Connections and Virtual Connections programs, the participant receives emotional support through support groups, but also the caregiver does too, and is invited to attend weekly caregiver support groups. So there's that support, and there is that connection with the program director as well to talk about additional resources. And so there's support there for the participant and the caregiver.
Right, and that's part of the startup intake process for both of these programs, is that we're going to visit both with the older adult
Yes.
and with the caregiver. And because we want to meet you where you are in your journey. And we want to make sure that we are serving your needs, serving the needs of the older adult, where they are. You know, we want to make sure they're being fully served. And you as the caregiver, we want to make sure that you've got all the resources, the ammunition that you need. And so we're going to help provide that to you. So that's another wonderful benefit of these programs, is that it's the holistic approach. When our founders created Age of Central Texas 35 years ago, they were very forward thinking in that in order to serve older adults fully, we had to serve the family members who are a part of that family, serving them as well. And so it's always been that holistic approach of the caregiver comes with the older adult and vice versa. So we make sure that we're serving fully on both sides. Had a quick question here asking if we do telemedicine appointments. No, we don't. We are not a medical organization. But right now, since COVID is not allowing us to do in-person one-on-ones, if you contact Natalie, she's going to set up either a Zoom meeting with you so that you can talk one-on-one, and or a telephone if that's easier for you. So in a sense we are, but we're just not a medical organization, so we can't answer your medical questions, but we can certainly help you with all of those caregiving ones.
Yes.
And so we do those virtually, and Natalie does those every single day.
Yeah, the intakes right now for virtual connections are being held over Zoom. Because we've opened up in-person programming with our Thrive centers, they are doing in-person intakes. So that is in person, but everything else has been, over Zoom. I wanted to also address there was a question about accessing the resource guides, the Caregiving in Central Texas resource guides. Yes, we have plenty to share. They are free. So if you want some to share with your friends, family, church members, please reach out. We can absolutely set up a time for you to come pick up some books. So yes, we have those available.
Right. We also had a question in the PDF version of the playbook that we sent you. On the very last page, it says appendices, and the people are going, where are they?
Right. Yeah, we apologize for that.
They are actually the other PDF that we sent you that says caregiver resources. So that is the appendices, and we apologize for the confusion there. Just when we put it all together, the actual PDF was so large in its size that we could not upload it to our website. So we had a limit on what we could upload. So we had to break them into two separate pieces. So that's what you've got. You've got the Caregiver Playbook, and then you've got the Caregiver Resources. That's actually the appendices to the playbook. And then the third thing we sent you was the program for this whole session. So sorry if we confused you with that. We had a question about my loved one has a recent diagnosis of dementia. And so all of this has been very helpful for them. I wanted to touch on that though, Natalie. I want you to talk about just a little bit about when you, as a caregiver, you move from just, I'm helping mom, because we're getting older and we're having some physical things and we need to help, to now we're in a whole different world. Now we're dealing with dementia. So I wanted you to touch on that just a little bit about when you're first starting to experience that as a caregiver. What are some of the things that we need to be doing in addition to all the things we've talked about?
So yeah, I mean, it's different at different stages. I think something really important keep in mind and to do is to educate yourself. Educate yourself on the diagnosis. What is it? What to look for or to be prepared for the future. It's good to assess your needs, the person's needs in the moment. What do they need right now? What do I need right now? What do I not understand? Who can I pull in to help me if you can? And also, what can I do to plan ahead, to prepare myself, to prepare my person? Does that help kind of?
Yeah, when we always talk about, there is caregiving and there's dementia caregiving, because it's kind of a whole nother animal.
Yeah, they're
And
different.
I think one of the main things that you need to understand as a dementia caregiver is that it is going to progress. That's just the way the disease is.
Yes.
And that it's most likely it's going to become more difficult as that progression goes. But if you understand that and know what's coming, you can be prepared. And that's the whole key. A lot of the classes that we have with Caregiver U, for example, the Savvy Caregiver, which is the long version, which is the 6-class one, it talks about the different stages of the dementias. And of course, there are different dementias, but there are some key notes that go through all of them. And if you understand this is what's going to happen, then you're prepared. And it's so much better to know that in advance and be prepared for it. And know that at some point, mom may not recognize me anymore.
Yeah.
And won't understand that I am her daughter or her son. That's very, very hard on you as a child when that happens. But if you know that's coming, and the day that it does happen, you're prepared for it, because you know what you need to do as the caregiver then at that point, when mom no longer understands who you are as a family member, but still knows that you are someone who is friendly, helpful, and is an important part of their life. So I think for the dementia caregiver, it's do your research,
Mhm.
Know what kind of dementia it is. That's very important, because different
There's
dementias,
so many.
Yeah, different dementias present in different ways, and different dementias have different issues with them. For example, Parkinson's, in addition to the tremors, you also have hallucinations at some point. And so knowing those things when your husband or loved one says, look at the dog over there, and there's no dog, you understand what's happening.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to understand too, that that's Alzheimer's and dementia Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. There are many types of dementias because they affect different parts of the brain and body. So you have different symptoms. So it's really important to educate yourself when you at the beginning of exploring a diagnosis, or just figuring out, well, have they diagnosed a vascular dementia? Have they diagnosed frontotemporal dementia? And what does that mean? What are those symptoms? So like I said, educating yourself on the diagnosis and the disease is going to be so helpful. And also, utilize the caregiver, savvy caregiver classes. Again, they're at no cost to you. They talk a lot about managing behaviors that are associated with dementia. Caregiving in general is a lot of work, and it is overwhelming. So there is a difference in dementia caregiving and, other types of caregiving through like chronic illnesses. And so just education on the actual disease, and then you know, call around who can help. What types of services are in the community to help.
And again, we can't emphasize too heavily support groups. You know, there are
Yes.
dementia-specific support groups here in the Central Texas area, and of course, all over the United States for each of the different types of dementia. But just any type of caregiving support group is going to be so helpful for you, because just like Memory Connections, where everyone in the room has the same thing going on, in that support group, you're a bunch of caregivers who are all dealing with a lot of the same things. And being able to have a safe place to just unpack everything and, you know, just to get it off of your chest is so wonderfully helpful. But most importantly, you've got peers who are doing the same thing as you and sharing what they have learned. You know, I've learned that this doctor is fantastic for this particular thing. Or, you know, when my loved one does this, I have found that this helps to calm them down. So you learn so much from your peers by doing that. Also, we did the GPS Caregiver Conference last month with the Riverbend Church, and we had a wonderful session that was done specifically on the different types of dementia. It was called It's Not Always Alzheimer's. And we talked about what are the different types of dementia, how do they present, and how, and those. So go on to YouTube, search for Age of Central Texas. It'll bring up our channel. And then on the playlist of the GPS Caregiver Conferences, or just look through, you know, sort them as the most recent. It'll be in the top 10 of the most recent videos. That's a wonderful video with lots of great information. And of course, the PowerPoints are there as well. So if you don't have time to watch the video, at least find it and click the link that'll open up the PDF of the PowerPoints, because then you can scan through that very quickly and it'll give you maybe the answers that you're looking for, as what are the different types of dementia and how do they present. So that'd give you a good quick reference point of where to find that. Had another question about whether yesterday's session is on YouTube yet. Not yet. That's what I'm doing as soon as we're done with this. And so hopefully by this evening, it'll be on there live as well. And then when we're done with this one, we'll give it a chance to download and process, and we'll have that up, hopefully, if not by tonight, by tomorrow as well. So by the end of the weekend, all of the videos are going to be on the YouTube channel, and you'll be able to access all of them there. Had a question about do not resuscitate forms. And the question specifically was about how do I coordinate getting all of the signatures and everything that needs to happen on that form, particularly the primary physician, the witnesses, and whether or not it needs to be notarized.
Okay, so I am not an expert in advanced care or directives, but the Hospice Austin has a program that is free. They will walk you through that entire document and documents that you need at no cost. You can call Shirley Price is the director there, and I actually think that we should have a video online in our online library. Shirley, Hospice Austin and I did a advanced directives seminar back in the summer. We recorded it, and so it should be up. And we did it in two parts. We did like, what are the documents, and then we did the second part, which was just going through each document in detail. So I encourage you to check out that video or contact Hospice Austin. Elder law attorneys are also really wonderful services to reach out to help make sure that you have all the documents that you need in place. So I can definitely, direct you to some wonderful resources in the area that can help you actually walk through that process and understand the documents. Again, Hospice Austin will also stand as witnesses and help you get everything signed. And I believe they're doing that by like appointments. There was also a question about, I'm trying to find it. Or maybe I'll just let you go to the next question.
Sure, and I've got one that we're going to go back to. I also want to point out, we talked about the do not resuscitate in the session that we did with Lena on Wednesday. And so there is, if you look back onto that video, we talk about the do not resuscitate forms. One simple suggestion, because you want to get the primary physician's signature on it, take it with you to your next appointment. And have them sign it at that point, and have the nurses be the witnesses, and then you've got it taken care of. If you want to get it notarized, a lot of times the doctor's offices can assist with that. Legally, from my understanding, and is that you don't have to have it notarized for it to be in effect. But that's just another added layer to it that says this is a really legal document because it has been notarized. But if at least take it with you, and you can download them for free online. Just download the form and then take it with you up to the next doctor's appointment with your loved one, and just have the doctor sign it and have the nurses be the witnesses. And then you've got that part taken care of. But if you're here in Central Texas, tremendous resource is Hospice Austin. They can help you with all of that type of forms that you need to have. There was a question about when to move to assisted living or memory care. When do we know it's the time? And I think this will probably be one of our last questions, because we are getting close to our time mark, but it's a tremendously important question, because as caregivers, we're going to reach a point where we are no longer able to provide the care that is needed for our loved one. And that's okay. We are, as a family caregiver, we are not trained to be that, to provide that type of care that someone's going to need at some point in their life. And so how do we know? What's our magic thing that tells us it's time, we need to start talking about nursing care, assisted living, or memory care?
One thing to keep in mind when you are exploring that is the individual's safety. Are they safe? Is that your main concern at this point? I have a wonderful resource that I can share with this individual and whoever would like this. We do have a document that covers when it's not safe, or when should my person not be left alone. There are lots of different documents online that you can find too, that just identify some of the risk factors to keep in mind when you are starting to question whether or not they need to be moved from living alone to in your home. There are lots of information on how to have your home assessed for safety. If you're deciding to bring them to your home, how can I make my home safe for this person? What are some things can I do? And then there are also really, really wonderful resources that I can share as well, that provide you with a lot of questions to ask a memory care setting, care community. I think it's really helpful to just be as prepared as you possibly can if you are moving into that type of transition into a residential memory care setting. It's nice to have a list of questions to ask. Sometimes when you're in the moment, you're overwhelmed, and just to have it printed out in front of you is just really helpful. And by contacting me and Age, we can absolutely provide you with those documents and those resources that we've compiled that will be supportive for your situation. There was another question that I wanted to get to as well, is an individual's person is in need of some more assistance, but the income, her income is a little bit higher than the income eligibility limits for certain programs. So I am not an expert in Medicaid, but I encourage you to contact the Area Agency on Aging, and me. I can give you some more information on this too. But if somebody's interested in a Medicaid program and is not a traditional or won't qualify for a traditional Medicaid benefit because of income eligibility, there is a waiver program called Star Plus. And this particular program, you would have to call a number to inquire about it and be added to the interest list. But this particular program is for individuals whose income eligibility is just above what is required. But their medical expenses are, greater than their income, and they need that additional support and benefits. So there are Medicaid waiver programs to look into that are for non-traditional Medicaid recipients or benefits that would normally qualify through income eligibility. That whole world is and can be confusing. And I'm not an expert in Medicaid, but I can definitely give you that direct information on who to call for, an interest list.
Right. And, that's a great point. Age of Central Texas has a lot of great resources, but we are not the solve every problem organization. There are other organizations that do other things fantastically well, and so we don't duplicate their services. That would not be a good use of the money that has been trusted to us by our donors in the community. And so we partner. All of the organizations do this, and we partner with each other to support that. Age is great with dementia education and dementia programs. Fantastic. We don't do in-home care. That's done great by another organization. And so when someone comes to us needing that service, we partner with them. We're not the experts when it comes to Medicare and Medicaid. We have a good grounding in it, but when you start talking nitty-gritty stuff, that's not our area of expertise. However, we know the people who are, and we'll connect you with those, and they will help you with all of those specific things. And just as we wrap up, I want to go back to that previous question about when is it time to move to our next step in the caregiving, when, and you hit it right on the head, I think, it's safety. If our loved one is no longer safe to live by themselves in their home, then it's time to step in and either, we provide in-home care, or they come live with us, or we start talking about it's time to move to someplace where they can live. Yet the other day we were talking about these issues and how do you have those conversations. And so we'll, having them earlier and sooner than later is always the best. Start talking with your loved one now about these things. We know that they're not comfortable conversations, but you don't want to have them when you're having a real bad issue. You don't want to be in panic mode and have to have these conversations.
Yeah.
It's the same with, people ask us, when do you know it's time to take away the car keys? When that person is no longer to drive safely by themselves.
Right. And also, on the line of safety, yes, that's a great, I encourage you to start there. Is it safe for them to live alone? Or if they're currently living with you, is it safe for them to still be in your home? Are you safe to have them in your home? So your safety matters as well, and is extremely important as well to keep in mind. I just wanted to add that little bit.
That's a great point. Yes. This is a two-way street. It's not, you're not the martyr who is having to do everything. At some point, you're going to have to say, I just can't do this anymore. And that's okay. You are not failing your loved one or yourself by saying, I can't do this anymore, because that's reality. And so as a human being, you have to be able to admit that and say, I just can't do it. And that's all right. There are organizations, there are businesses, there are places where mom, dad, husband, and wife can be where they will be safe and happy and have a great rest of their life. I just don't have the skills to do that right now. And that's all right. And, you know, we throw a lot at you guys of this week. And, you know, everybody's journey is different. And so we're hopeful that you were able to find some nuggets out of today. Not everything may apply to you right now. It might apply to you later. But hopefully we were able to help each of you with at least something that can help you make your journey better this weekend and as you move forward. And once again, I've said this in every one of our sessions. I will say it once again. There is never, ever any shame in saying, I need some help. Because that's why we exist. That's why all of these organizations around the US are here, because no one ever taught us all these things that we need to know. And we're never coming fully equipped with everything that we need as a caregiver. Things change, our situations change, our journey changes. And so there is never a shame in saying, you know, I really need some help because I'm at a point where I don't know what to do next, or this just happened and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. That's why we're here. Call us, email us, reach out to us. Let us be of assistance. If we don't have the answer, we know who does. Right, Natalie?
Yes. And again, I encourage you to email me if you want to set up a one-on-one consultation. I get really excited when somebody is able to get on Zoom, because I miss interacting with people in person, and this is the next best thing. So it's nice to be able to see someone's face and connect that way. Over the phone is just fine too. So again, just send me an email if you are interested in scheduling something soon, and I can get that going for you.
Thanks. And as Natalie said, we're caregivers ourselves. You know, we're caring for our family members as well. So we're living your journey with you. And so we're here to help you because we understand exactly what's going on in your world. We want to thank you so very much for being a part of this year's Caregiver Training Camp. As I mentioned, I hope that we have provided you with some resources, with some tips, with some wisdom that can help you in your journey. Never be afraid to ask us when you need our help. We are here for you. Again, the AGE website has tons of things there that can help you out. So if you need some assistance this weekend, pop on there and look. There's great stuff there to help you out as well. We'll have these videos available online very shortly, and there's a whole library of videos from ones that we have done previously, and as we keep going, we'll keep adding to them. So we want to thank our sponsors very much for their help, especially Baylor Scott and White Health. They were our sponsor for this entire week. We really appreciate everything that they do in the community and how they help organizations like Age of Central Texas. We want to thank CapTel for being our sponsor today and helping us provide the Caregiver Playbook to you free of charge. And we just encourage you to take a deep breath this weekend, to enjoy your time with your loved one, and to remember that this is a journey that is meant to be enjoyed. And we're going to be there for you to hold your hand and assist you anytime you need us. Natalie, thank you so very much for taking the time out today to share all of your expertise. We appreciate that so much. We appreciate you at home for joining us and being a part of this series. And we know that this is not an easy thing to do, but I hope that we've given you a few tips to make it a little bit easier for you. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the year, and join us again for our next conferences and seminars that we offer. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.